city department head with being coded to adjust employee force schedule to avoid excess use of force. What do you got there, Sam?
Well, even before the election, a number of people had commented that, when we have it at 4 in the afternoon, it makes it rather difficult for people who work during the day to get there. Of course, we do have a lot of people who work shift work, but there are still those who work a regular day. Also, Thursday frequently sees various activities going on in the community of a sporting nature with schools or other things. Monday seems to be the very least used day of the community. So Monday at 5 p.m. seems like it would be the one which would allow more citizens to come somewhat more conveniently than is currently the case.
Unless you're watching Monday Night Football.
Well, they can do those things. I mean, you've got all sorts of games going on, all sorts of different times, but that was mentioned. But then again, that's an incentive to keep your meetings shorter.
That's an incentive to start them earlier.
What do you say?
So I actually would like to make a motion that we consider moving, and certainly let citizens comment on that, moving the meetings to Monday night at 5 o'clock, Monday afternoon.
What are you going to do about 3-day holidays?
Well, we don't have a whole lot of Monday holidays. We just
We have quite a few, and there's also a problem with the lease that you have talked about.
that was brought to my attention.
So I hate to, first of all, check the deal on the Monday first. Change the date where it's going to have to be moved because of this or that. That seems like it's awful confusing.
Well, Friday is
No, and so that's the first thing. I think Monday is out because there's too many Monday holidays. There's also a problem with using this hall. If 1st or 15th falls on a weekend, then we can't use it. So that's like you want to make something easier. And the time fee, if you move the time, whatever time you pick, there's going to be people complaining that they can't come to it because of this, that, or the other. But we have 3 big employers that work long shifts and varying shifts.
But we've got other employers that work normal hours, bankers and stores and merchants. But I can see that
our 3 largest employers work long shifts and varying shifts. So it hasn't been a problem at 4 o'clock. I don't see, and there's not going to be a time that's convenient to anybody. And I don't like late meetings, especially in the winter. I'd rather everybody get home.
I don't think anybody likes late meetings either, but like I say, there are a number of people.
We've had 2 meetings since you've been on the council that have been here past close to 8 o'clock.
Only 2 is not bad for
No, that's okay. So we're going to put it until after 9. I think that's
not going to let you know.
well. You can't guarantee that. So I think that to me is I don't see moving the time back is going to be helping. You're going to have as many people complain.
I have something to say too. At one time, I would have jumped right on the bandwagon saying, yeah, I'll make it more convenient. But the meetings that we've had since I've been on the council, if people had something to say, they showed up. It seemed like, well, somehow they got here no matter what. One of the ones I remember is, I call it the doggy meeting. And I mean, people packed this place because of the dog issue. So Andy was here tonight because he thought that he was going to be involved. The people, it seems like if they want to get to the meetings, they will. And there are regulars that come all the time. I would say that we're not really doing anything by making them later, except making it an inconvenience right now, really. Because people tend to show up if they're interested in what's going on.
Any other discussion? Sam made a motion. Your motion stay?
Yes, but I don't think anybody's going to suck into it. So.
Well, then you make a motion, you can back it up.
Well, he made a motion to consider changing.
Yeah, they consider changing it. That's true. I just made the motion to consider.
Well, I thought the county agenda would be considered. So we vote to consider it, and then we consider it as a motion.
I think we already considered it. You decided it sucks.
Well, we're going to do it.
No, I mean, not this vote. I'm talking about get people's input somehow. I think, like Dale says, changing it to 5 o'clock isn't going to guarantee more people coming.
I think seeking public input is great because you are elected to do the business of the city. I mean, you can't, on everything that comes in front of the city council, you can't seek everybody's opinion. That's what you were elected to do. That's my take on it. We were elected to do a job, but that doesn't entitle it. We would never get anything done if everything we had to do was have a public referendum on everything on the agenda every meeting.
Sam, you have a motion.
I do. Well, I think this one does affect the public because that was part of the reason why we had this motion. It was the public that asked for it.
The motion is for 5 o'clock on Monday.
It was just to consider the time was, so I'll,
Well, that's kind of,
the time it was, I would,
you probably should make a motion to change it to that, because that's what this is really about. The consideration should come before the motion. You know what I'm saying?
we have considered it, so only to what has been said here and discussed, I still would like to hear from the public if anybody.
Well, they're going to keep up the telling before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would make the motion then that we consider changing the time to Monday at 5 p.m.
So in other words, even if it passes, it won't be.
Yeah, so it's.
We'll have to put it on the agenda again.
Right.
Okay. We have a second. Okay, that fails with a second. Any other motion? For a date and time. You can keep the date, change the time. Change the time, change the date.
Well, that. Bruce, you just say it.
Bruce,
No, I'm not gonna say.
Well, I was going to say, if we want to, we can, I would put forward a motion to just change the time to 5 p.m. then,
on Thursday.
on Thursdays.
Okay, do we have a second for that? The second, Phil's good with that. If there are no other motions, the agenda fails.
Okay.
Okay,
So let me,
all right. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the, won't hear public comment because nothing is done. And with that, we'll move on to number 4, Councilman Southern's discussion on select consideration for the city of Ely to sponsor an ice skating rink at Broadbent Park. Yeah, Bruce.
We promised to bring more amenities to Ely, and this is something that the city can do very cheaply. And I think I've heard from a lot of people that's in favor of it. And I think the city should take the responsibility to do this. Well, what I had in mind was back on Broadbent Park, using the either sandbags or railroad ties with the plastic, fill it up with water, and make a skating rink.
Are you talking about liability insurance?
No, that's what the lawyer would do. That's what the lawyer will tell us what we can and can't do.
Okay, well, this is all discussion about. So, consider it. I got one of these. This is something I looked into 6 years ago. It's not new. At the time, I didn't realize that Kennedy Park didn't belong to the city. That was 6 years ago. But I didn't get any traction on it. But there are professionally made things, but again, you have to spend the money. I think the biggest problem with any of this would be liability insurance as far as the cost. So that's something to consider. But at least something like this, you could get 100 by 200, and it was going about $98,000, a little over $8,000. Then you'd have to have somebody doing it. The water's going to be.
Well, from people I talked to, they've done this for years in the past without spending $8,000.
When I first came here, like 38 or 39 years ago, the city had 2 or 3 ice skating rinks. So they just piled up dirt and filled them, and every once in a while they come by and fill them, top them off with water. I'm not a lawyer, but I can't see where the liability insurance of ice skating rinks is any different than a park. I mean, we're not. It's there. They can, you know.
I think it's for approximately 2 months out of the year.
You can run it November, December, January, February. I mean, I think it's a great idea if we can do it. But I don't think it needs to be anything fancy. I mean,
Well, it's just something like
We were talking railroad ties with plastic liner.
I don't think why you need a lighter. It's frozen ground, you put ice on, water on it, and it freezes.
I'm not sure if that would Go ahead, Rob.
Just for information, in the past, our department would release ice skating rinks, and because of the surface thaw, sometimes the kids would throw debris in it or walk across it and leave, deep footprints in the slush that would freeze over and wasn't usable. But in probably previous years of that, when we had better winters here, we would have no issues. But the last few times we tried that was some of the issues. We never could get smooth surface to make it be usable for.
When I say you were up at Elysium Park?
There was one in between Reno Road and Elysium. And there's one by Orson Avenue down there.
Yeah,
And they were used in the past. Danny Griffith, when he was park supervisor, we tried to reinstate them, and it didn't work out at that time. I'm not saying it's a bad idea.
So it used to work, but it won't work now?
Well, that was some of the issues we had to contend with. We never was able to establish that smooth ice surface to be used. Some of it was better, some of it was just, if there ain't no ice there, they're going to play there. And they might have been not malicious, but it still was an issue. And we tried to layer and surface it many times, but there are just some things you might have to contend with that. Just for your information.
The reason I brought up the liability insurance is that it would be something that this is what I'm trying to discuss the whole thing, so we don't ask some people to know that go along. Since the city would be sponsoring, it would be the sort of thing where the city would be, we'll have public comment in this time. It would be the city sponsoring it, so kid goes out there and it's like lost his maybe it's going to mess up along there, and the kid took a fall and broke his arm. Very possible the parents are going to be looking, look, you should have told me it was going to be dangerous out there. I didn't know it was dangerous. But this is the world we live in 2015.
Well, that's one reason I had said for 2 months, January, February. I know we're part of November, but like Ross said, you're going to get slushiness. And then after February, same thing. It'll start to get warmed up and melt during the day and refreeze. So if you were to do it for 2 months, where it's not going to thaw out as much, the 2 coldest months, and then take it apart after that, I think it'd be easier to maintain.
I would suggest that if we do decide to do it, that our kind of look into our city clerk on the insurance aspect of it, just in case something happens, we don't want to end up getting sued or something, because this is the era we're living in. It's a little different than what we're in. Anyway, that's and it would have to be properly done as far as cleared off, so we didn't have rock or any glass that might be going in there or anything like that. It would have to be done fairly right. Like I say, you could put up the railroad ties or whatever, and of course if it's in Broadbent Park, then there comes a time when we have to cut it down again, replant the grass, I'm sure.
Well, you wouldn't have to be planting. The grass is growing when you put it down, and you take it away, the grass will come right back up. Just like it does when it snows.
I did that, I couldn't start this morning. I wouldn't have got the grass and go back.
I think it's a great idea. I think we need a little bit more information before we can actually make an intelligent decision. So I'm going to approve it to the next agenda and have some more information.
Table it for the next agenda, we'll get information.
You got a second on that?
Second.
Okay. Before we do have a vote, since it was tabled, but I don't appreciate it, something else, I'll go ahead and open it up for public comment because I think there's so we get some comment.
I have to apologize to the audience because I have something bad on the back of my shirt today. afternoon, and my name is Patricia Fula, and I am the librarian at the public high school here, White Pine High School. And the back of my shirt says, "Don't make me shush you." So anyway, if they're laughing, that's why. But I came here because I have been talking to Bruce about the fact that we had ice skating ponds, and so I just wanted to make a little statement about what it would mean to me. I'm here to talk about one of our natural resources here in Ely, and that is snow. And this is what, the second day of autumn, and we've had some snow today. In 1964, we had snow, and there was skiing, there was sledding, skating, and even a few snowmen. One of the things I really remember is on walking to school, to Ely grade school, is that people would leave their hoses on. And we actually had some ice sculptures, and then they would put like Christmas lights that shined on it and changed the colors. So we had a lot of winter activity. This year, Ely's supposed to have snow like it did in 1964. And to add to that, we have children who will be out of school for 20 days over Christmas break. I'd like to see some snow activities in the park. Maybe start a simple experiment. Start a club. That might take care of your liability.
Trish, you're gonna have to stick with the ice skating though, because this is public on this particular
Ely has winter an experimental ice rink. Ely has winter activities already, but we could use more. The snow is free, it's a natural resource, and I think we should lay some groundwork for trying to take full advantage of this resource. It is also a time of tourism. From Thanksgiving on, we have tourists. They come to hunt, to ice fish, to ice sculpt, and to play at Cave Lake. They come with their families to get a Christmas tree out of the mountains and ride on the Polar Express. We have a parade and craft shows, bazaars, sights, sounds, smells of Christmas, Christmas tree auction, fashion show, Chris Kindle Mart, and a tree lighting. We already have so much going on for us. Can't we please try to kick it up a notch and embrace our snow? Snow brings cold weather and will freeze the ice. Please consider trying to once again provide some of these children with at least one ice skating park. Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment?
Mayor, members of the council, my name is Paul Johnson, and actually looked into this several years ago, and a couple of options. One, I looked at a portable rink that actually freezes the ice, but it was quite expensive. It was from $10,000 to $20,000 depending on the size. But they also have something that's called synthetic ice, which is flooring. They actually put down, you clip it together, tongue-and-groove flooring, and you ice skate on it. They do it at special events. And instead of spending $10,000 to $20,000, I think you can spend $1,000. Matter of fact, it's $945 for a 96 by 180 inch rink. So for a fraction of the cost, you have something that doesn't have the maintenance concern Ross is talking about. You can shovel the ice off, but you don't have to worry about getting a Zamboni or anything like that. But it might be an option for you guys to consider.
Paul, could you make sure Jennifer Longboard is for you?
Sure.
Greg, were you going to do a public comment? You're bouncing around out there. I was telling you were going to come up.
Just being
All right. Any other public comment? Make it quick, Frank, because we got a 5 o'clock thing.
Even though I'm in favor of anything we can do for young people and stuff to keep them occupied and such, years ago we used to take the kids out to Cave Lake, snowboard and skate. Most of them didn't know how to skate to show them taught. But even though I'm not opposed to the situation, I wonder if it isn't creating a huge liability possibility with one of the kids getting hurt bad out there. You know, that's Mr. Sears like that.
We're going to look into that, Frank. I think I see him still available.
Yeah, even though like I say, I'm not opposed to doing stuff to young people and stuff, to help them, to keep them occupied, and keep on each other. But I just kind of wonder if this might create a wrinkle aspect to it,
Thanks, Frank.
And thank you.
If no other public comment, I'll shut this down. There's a motion to the table, or a second, all fair side.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and with that, I'm gonna jump up to, number 6 there, so you can. Okay, number 6, the city council will recess the regular city council meeting for a public hearing at 5 o'clock on the following topics. Number 1, Chairman Plangus, public hearing, discussion, consideration, proposed petition for vacation or abandonment of road easement. The property is the bordered 20 feet of Avenue N between 11th and 10th Street, Ely. Petitioner, the White Pine County School District, will have local public comment on this item.
Allow me, I'll recuse myself.
You're going to do it as a, you're not going to stick around for the public comment? Or are you
Oh,
gonna
yeah, I'm just gonna sit out here, so.
Oh, you're going to do that. Okay. Any public comment on this item?
Mr. Mayor, I'm not against the abandonment. However, the fact that city code was not adhered to on sidewalks, nothing was done on 10th Street, that you had construction along that route. Either you have rules and regulations or you don't. The fact that they're coming to after the fact is a real problem there. You had other people come before you prior to starting their project, pay the fees. Again, it looks like selective enforcement that needs to stop. You folks set the standard, Feds set a minimum standard. They say minimum 3 feet, that's fine. But you went ahead and enhanced that regulation to 4 feet and 5 feet. Your rules, your regulations, and you have to commit to that commitment. If you don't, get rid of it. So none of us have to go through heartache. I was sued after I put in a sidewalk to your codes by Mr. Sears there. And yet we have an individual like Mr. Bybee, it appears, narrow the road down, to bring it onto a public sidewalk. Either you have rules or you don't. Can't do the job, you've got to go.
Anybody else for public comment? If there's no other public comment, I'll close the comment and we'll move on to address the issue. Number 7, discussion possible action pertaining to public comment. Number 1, Chairman Plangus, discussion possible action considering proposed petition for vacation and abandonment of road or easement. The property is the northerly 20 feet of Avenue N from 11th and 10th Street. Petitioner is White Pine School District. And Paul, you can come up here if you're here to discuss this.
I have backup with me.
You have backup?
Yeah,
Good.
we hire Basin Engineering to help us with this project, but
Backup's always good.
for the record, Paul Johnson, Chief Financial Officer for the White Pine County School District. And thanks for hearing this item. I did attend the RPC meeting and they did approve the abandonment. We had a project to improve the Dave D. Norman Elementary grounds, and part of that was affected an area on Avenue 11 or Avenue M. The total project was about $650,000, and we accomplished as much as we could. We didn't affect any property on 10th Street because we didn't have money, quite honestly. We did make significant improvements to help the flow of traffic and improve student safety. Students now are all dropped off on our campus instead of dropped off across the road and cut through traffic. We have the inlet now where the traffic can drop the kids off closer to the school. And the Avenue M portion specifically, we actually ended up widening the road. It's paved, which will help with snow removal. Actually helps with safety for the residents in that area because now you don't have to travel as close to the parked cars or the trailer park. So I think it's a great thing for that neighborhood. I think it looks nice. And I understand perhaps we didn't follow the proper protocol, which I can take responsibility for, and I only apologize for that. I hope it doesn't adversely affect the decision, but we'll learn to make sure we do this in the proper steps in the future. But if you have any questions, BJ Holmberg, Basin Engineer, worked on this project, and one of his representatives, Buzz, was here earlier at RPC and heard their concerns as well. So I'm here to answer any questions.
I move we grant the ban of 20 feet of island line between 11th and 10th Street.
Second.
You got a second? Okay, public comment. George, are you testing the air? I said public comment on this, and you said
Just need your attention, Mr. Mayor. I know you get confused from time to time. Mr. Mayor, the fact that Mr. Johnson said that here, I don't believe he did. The person there was the city attorney who's also the school district attorney. That gentleman knows what the protocol is. That gentleman knows what needs to be done, and it was not done. You have to have accountability. I'm also concerned about angle parking on Avenue M. I don't recall the city council, this one any prior, authorizing angle parking on that street. You have residential parking on the opposite side. We need to know what you folks are planning to do. I don't recall any request for public hearing on any changes on that street. City code again, Mr. Mayor.
I think that was going to be there, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong.
Well, I never read the rules like you do, sir.
Anyway, any other public comment? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
And your backup. Where was your backup? He keeps raising his hand. Oh, Buzz Lightyear. Check out. All right, then I'm going to go back to our regular business. Number 5, council lead, discussion possible action, consideration allow property owners of residential lots less than 5,000 square feet to construct homes and settle lots. What is this, man?
This is specifically aimed at, and this is with the auspices of the EDC, those properties that are 25 by 100, some people call them shotgun houses. They're narrow properties that somewhere in the past we have decided not to let people tear those structures down and rebuild. In other words, if a property owner is stuck with that old structure, he can fix it up as much as he wants, but it's still going to be an old house. And if we're going to clean up the city, which is what we're really looking at here, is trying to improve the looks of the city, I'm suggesting that we change that ruling and allow these people to tear these structures down and build new. I did look into the tiny house movement. I think you have these in your packets. And from my own personal observation, there's a trend today toward much bigger houses than the standard, right around 2,000 or so square feet. And then there's another movement toward the little tiny houses. I understand the reasoning for both. In Vegas, they're building houses now that are like 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. And I believe that that's mostly because the financial situation the country's in right now. I think there are a lot of people who have several generations living in the same household. And this is a way of taking care of that problem. The tiny housing, a lot of people are realizing, if you look at the statistics here, and I know this from experience, you spend a good part of your life paying for the house that you own. And there are people who are trending toward, I don't need a big house, I'm here by myself, or I'm here with my wife, I'm here with my dog, I'm here with my cat. Why do I need a giant house? 1,500, 2,500 square feet. So if we allow people to build these tiny houses, they'll look better on these properties than what's existing there right now. And they will have an incentive because it's much, much cheaper to build a really tiny house than it is to buy a 5,000 square foot lot and put, typically a 12 to 1,800 square foot home on it. So that's why I'm suggesting it. It's partly a convenience to take care of people who don't want a big house, and partly it's a way of allowing us to clean up the city a little bit. And I did out of curiosity, because somebody was telling me about it, I went out to the Cedar Mobile Home Park, the west side of the road, and there are trailers in there that apparently have been brought in by the owner, but I don't know that for sure. But without the wheels under them, and of course they didn't have wheels under them, it just looks like a cute little home. And they're tiny. I wouldn't say that they're more than maybe 800 square feet. And they have a little loft apparently because there's a little window up there, like a second floor sort of. So people that didn't want to build a single-story house can look into having 2 stories. So that's why I'm bringing this up, and I told them at the ABC that I would make a motion to this effect.
We had I don't know, yes, we had a problem talking about this in previous years with fire control.
Yeah, that's the main reason we have housing set more spacely separated is for fire spread, house to house, which there's ways around that with different fire rating on the structure. Right?
Yeah, I think if you're going to take and pass this, then what you want to do is you want to actually have this, whatever structure is going to be on it. We have a variance already that's set up for these smaller lots, and we have one that's got the time frame. You got to start construction within 6 months. But if you want to do that, because we're going to run into the 5-foot setback on one side and the 10-foot setback on the other, because obviously now we've only got 10 feet left. So you can't do much with that. But I think what you have to do is these would have to be professionally designed. Because you're going to have to fire rate both sides of the roof. So basically the whole house is going to be fire rated like no other house would be fire rated because of its vicinity to the lot lines. So I think it can be done. Anything can be done. But it's something that we have to look at as far as getting access to the back of the property, how close they are to their neighbors' lots.
The neighbors next door.
Yeah. In Vegas, they have houses that are 0 lot lines. The house becomes the. What they do is when you get that close, they usually take one side, and they'll take. Usually there's 3 feet separation. They consider that 0 lot line. The one that's on the property line will have no windows at all on that side. There won't be any windows on that side of the building. The house next door will, but the house on this side will not have any windows, and that will all be fire rated. So that's how they get around that. So you have to do kind of the same thing, but those are all engineered structures. Those aren't just people, saying, okay, I want to build this little square thing, and here's my kitchen, and all this stuff. These are actually done through design professionals to take a look at this, so they get the proper fire ratings on this stuff. It can be done, I'm sure. You can put them. That's why they allow in a C2 zone, which are commercial, there is no setbacks because you have to fire rate each building. So you can do the same thing in a residential area too.
So maybe it would be better than passing an ordinance is to have a variance, and then we have a variance with these tiny houses. They would have to be fire rated, rather than changing our lot size.
I would, my question is, if you're going to replace an existing structure, fine, but what if somebody buys a small lot in a nice subdivision and puts a tiny house up? Is that going to defray the property values in that area? So you have to be careful how you would attack this.
I don't think it would. I think by putting a new house on it would increase the property value more than having.
But you don't want a tiny house in a subdivision that has good housing in it.
And I think one of the things Randy was talking about is buying a small lot that has some old shack on it, or a house that was built in 1910. that was a little shotgun place that's falling apart now. You know, if you had that in the neighborhood, it would be much better off being removed and then rebuilt.
Sure, that's what I was saying, yeah.
I don't anticipate there's gonna be a lot of these. And I can't imagine somebody buying a big lot in a nice area and saying, I'm gonna put a little teeny house on it. I just, it could happen.
It could happen, yeah.
Well, another thing you have to remember too is all of our zoning that's done right now, the minimum is 5,000 square feet. That doesn't make that's in the R zones. It's also in the down in Central Italy, which is the MH3. Those are all still 5,000 square feet. So you have to take those into consideration because if you have 2,500 square feet and you put in a mobile home, we have no way of fire rating that mobile home. You can't go back in and redo it because now it's already an engineered structure. So we'd have to go back in and have it re-engineered, so to speak, to get it to work. So that these are the kind of things that you can run into if you run into, especially with mobile homes. And we have it so that we have an ordinance that says you can put a mobile home in an R zone as long as it's on a permanent foundation. So we got to be careful when, because we can't do anything with the mobile home. One of them catches on fire, I'm sure you're going to.
Yeah, you spend more time protecting the other structure than you do taking care of the mobile home. That's for sure. I would do each case by case.
Yeah, but in our variance application does have on the back of it where it's initialed, dated, that work would have to begin within 6 months. So if somebody bought a lot and they tore the house down, they would have to start construction on something within 6 months.
That would be less than a 5,000 square foot lot.
Well, that would be with the variance. So if you get a variance for anything, they have to start construction or at least pull permits within 6 months.
Okay, but this is covering 5,000.
Right, which they have to get a variance for.
They would have to get a variance for it.
Right. So
Case by case.
assuming that they were going to take and demolish the structure that was there, they would have 6 months to start construction on the new one.
Any other questions? Any motions?
I would move to allow property owners and residential lots less than 5,000 square feet to construct homes on said lots. And I was looking specifically at the old homes on the 25,500 lots. And maybe I should, I don't know, is there a way to just say, let's limit this to 25,500 lots that have an existing structure on it? I would modify it that way.
I'm not sure.
Mr. Mayor, what I would suggest is his original idea, and that goes along with the next agenda item, was for what I'm going to call reconstruction, demolishment or reconstruction. So I think probably the motion